Welcome to another FinTech HotSeat. I'm Craig Jeffery. I'm the managing partner of Strategic Treasure. I'm here with Hung Nguyen of Bellin, and we are discussing the topic of leading practices in Treasury Management System implementation. So welcome to the HotSeat, Hung.
Thank you, Greg. That's a wonderful and kind introduction. Just want to let you know a little bit about myself. I've joined Bellin quite recent as sales director of North America. My background has been, a number of years in consultant practices implementing treasury systems, and prior to that, a corporate treasurer for 20 plus years. So, I've done everything in all aspects of treasury and understand, very deeply a lot of the functionalities. And from that, I have a very, strong insight in the challenges a lot of companies face when they consider implementing a TMS system.
So companies oftentimes experience significant challenges before, during, and sometimes a really long process where they're not using all of a treasury system. They experience a lot of points of pain, and I want to look into that. I'm just providing that as some background for that concept of what do you see are the areas or the timing sectors that people need to be concerned about or focus on putting in leading practices for TMS implementation? What are the areas that are included and what's most important?
Okay, so that's a really great question. When a company start to consider a commitment and an investment in a TMS solution, there's a lot of pre-planning that has to happen. And I'll touch base on that a little bit. But in the time that I have here, I want to sort of identify a bit of two-sided approach that I see a lot of companies engage when they are implementing a TMS system. One, companies are busy, they are short-staffed, and they are looking for quick wins. So they want to just, go out, get something off the shelf, out of the box right away, bring it in, see if it can help them at the get-go without having to struggle too much with it. And the other thing that companies that are more purposeful in their approach would do is they take the time to pre-plan how to align their processes with this new system. At the end of the day, it's just a tool. It's how your company, how your organization, the users that are involved are going to actually make use of it. And you have to see whether your current business processes are aligned to it or not, and whether you need to consider overhauling that before you implement a system, and then find out your processes are not aligned and you're not actually using the tool the way that it's meant to be.
So does that mean that re-engineering is required or likely to use a new tool, or you just have to go with the leading practice workflow that exists within a tool?
This question is more, it's going to be a little bit philosophical in terms of where senior management need to be engaged when they're looking at system. They want something, a quick and ready solution and just run with it. Or my personal belief is if you invest the effort in actually pre-planning in designing your process changes to make use of the tool, you're going to have much better outcome. So it really depends on what outcome you really want and what benefits you're really hoping to achieve as a result of a TMS implementation, right? So if you are going to actually engage in a system implementation, engage in bringing new technology to your company, it's going to be disruptive anyway, right? So if you're going to disrupt, some of the workforces, you're going to disrupt some of the workflows that's going to happen, maybe it's a good opportunity to be thoughtful about how you're going to do that, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah, so for most organizations, being thoughtful thinking through the process changes is going to be better than just, let's say, replicate what we have, try to force a square peg into a round hole, or vice versa? Is that the...
Absolutely, and I'll give you an example. One of our partner who implemented, Bellin as a solution for their Treasury Management System, 1 year prior to actually even scoping the project, one of the things that they did was they sent out questionnaires to all of the users and touch points within the company that they know are going to be impacted by the system. They asked for what are your current processes, and then they asked what do you think good looks like after we implement the system. So they are asking for direct input from the user base to help them design what the future state is going to look like with the implementation. So they get a sense of where the current state is going to be. They're going to get a wish list of what their future state want to be, and they look for a solution that is going to cater to that, so that then they can build the appropriate bridge, align the appropriate resources, and retool and overhaul their processes to make that happen in a very strategic, purposeful, and disciplined fashion.
Yeah, thanks, Hung. So, as you already shared a few perspectives, but I wanted to just hear you elaborate a little bit on what are some of the perspectives that people should have. One was, you already shared, use the function and structure of the system, be thoughtful about what you're changing. Since you're unpacking it, make it make sense. But what are some other perspectives? We talked a little earlier about some of these, but what are some of the perspectives people should have or take hold of as they either approach it or as they go through a TMS implementation?
So, one of the things that we advocate, and, one of the things that we engage, clients for from the very get-go as part of discovery is just understanding your company and understanding the challenges and the pain points that the companies are going through and looking for solutions to resolve. Now, sometimes some companies have a very sort of general idea of where their challenges and pain points are, but they don't articulate it very well in terms of being very specific and very detailed and hitting all the impacting areas that they need to deal with in order to apply the solution and being able to have a successful implementation falling out from that. So one of the things that I encourage, a lot of companies embarking on this journey to really do is just have very good self-reflection and examination of their current process. And from there, hopefully they're going to be able to identify very exactly where the challenges are, what those challenges mean, not just like, okay, well, my payments process is too slow. Like, give me quantifiable measures, because at the end of it, when you implement an outcome, you're going to want to compare metrics from what you have achieved to where you have come from. And that's going to be measurable benefits that, senior management is going to look for. Well, did I get a return for that investment or not? Right? So you need to be very clear, and you have to actually put it into a plan, identify your pain points, your challenges, identify all of the stakeholders that are involved with that, and get your buy-in to support this journey that is going to be not easy.
So buy-in has to deal with a lot of people, maybe other areas, certainly executive management, perhaps IT. What are the other changes that are vital? I mean, it's a change management process. You're getting people to adapt to change. What should people be thinking or doing to help handle the wetware factor, the people factor?
That's a great question. A lot of time in, sort of like in a tech space, when I talk about change management, Typically, we're talking about managing, scoping, IT specific, system change management. And there's a whole set of protocols around that to ensure that your system implementation is going to go smoothly, and those changes are going to not become barriers as you move through the journey. However, there's a much more critical, I believe, change management that has to take place, and has to take place with the people in the organization that is going to be involved and are going to be key stakeholders in the process. So the people change management is where you're going to get that critical buy-in. How are you going to achieve that? Communication. Early reach out, early connection with the stakeholders, get them involved, ask questions, tell them where you are in the plan, give them expectations of what is asked of them very specifically, not vaguely, because when you ask somebody something vague, they walk away non-committed because they don't know how that really means to them on a day-to-day basis. So when you engage them, you give them very specific visibility and clarity into what you are planning to do, and letting them know how it's going to actually impact them, and actually also showing you will be there to help support them through the journey. We are going to be in this together, and at the end of it, we are all going to benefit together. We are going to make your job easier. We're going to make your operation more efficient, and we're going to provide better clarity at the outcome of it.
Yeah, very good. So I guess the other thing is big bang or incremental phases.
This one comes down to resourcing. That's an excellent question. Go big or go home, or let's take it slow and steady and make sure that we have good footing as we move forward. It's a debate that a lot of companies have internally in dealing with TMS implementation or any system implementation. But it really boils down to how much resources company can muster to throw at it. If they can gather all of the resources from within a company, within their treasury, finance department, IT, audit, all of the groups, the controller group, the accountants, if they can throw them all at it at once, and those guys still be able to do their day job, then you can go big or go home. A lot of companies are not quite able to do that, so they have to actually be a little bit more strategic, a little bit more disciplined on how they are going to roll it. And a lot of time we see phasing happen. And we actually also recommend phasing when we see companies struggle to have the appropriate resource to manage and handle the implementation process itself. As provider, we will support as much as possible, but there are a lot of works that is going to require from the customer in order to get to the 100% implementation satisfaction that we want to achieve for every project.
Yeah, do you have any fears when someone says we're going to be really aggressive in our approach to implementing a treasury management system?
I have a healthy dose of fear every time a CFO or a CEO says, I want this done in 3 months, and I want the system completely automated, everything that we do as an expectation. Part of our job and part of our engagement with our customers is to temper that expectation. It's we know what they want, we know what they're looking for, but realistically what can be achieved in the shorter amount of time has to be spelled out and managed aggressively so that there's not that huge disparity where you have arrived and what they think you should have been at by the time you're done with the implementation. It's a classic sort of like battle that goes on. Yeah.
It can create a credibility issue. So you've brought up a lot of good points, good perspectives and examples. Maybe just leave us with what are any final thoughts you have for using leading practices in the implementation of a treasury management system?
One of the things that we try to bring to our customers is best-in-class practices. Within our organization, we have very wide and deep field of consulting practice and consulting experience. And we're not the only one with such experience. There are a lot of advisory group, consulting groups out there. If you don't have that experience in-house as a company, as a corporation that wants to move on with this project, don't be afraid to reach out for help. Don't be afraid to line up the consultant. Don't be afraid to budget them in and not skimp and say, you know what, we'll just kind of like wing it. You will get failure implementation, and it will be on you because you didn't prepare it properly. Go out and get the help to make sure that you understand what is involved, understand how to do it, and understand at the same time, you're gonna be overhauling some of the processes, be strategic about it, plan for it, put in place best in class where you can, being mindful of the uniqueness of your company's way of doing things, and that will lead to good, successful implementation at the end of the day.